Hello everyone, it's Colby, and Philip and I are doing another subclass tier list. This time we're going to do Artificer, my favorite class of all time, so we'll see how this goes. Keep in mind with this ranking, this is pretty subjective, and it's not affected about how we feel about the class. It's more about what the subclass brings to the class in that kind of bubble of assessment, not compared to other subclasses and other classes, just the subclasses of the class. I said class a lot. Hope that makes sense. I got Philip here as well. Want to say hi?
Class.
You messed it up. That's not hi.
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 I felt left out. You said class so many times. I wanted to say it too.
I see. Well, I've still outnumbered you quite a bit. So.
I mean, I could catch up.
So you really need to catch up?
No.
Okay.
But you started making it a competition. Now I feel like if I don't,
it's not a competition because it's done.
Oh, I mean,
the competitions end at a certain point, right?
I don't know about that.
Anyways, the first subclass we're going to start with for Artificer is the Alchemist.
I think it's the worst one.
I do think it's the worst one. Like, I wouldn't say it's a D. I think it's probably a C.
I had it in D. I would never want to play this one.
Really? I think it's still, like, good. And I've played it before.
I think it's cool for an NPC.
not a actual player.
Yeah, that was the end of that statement.
I see. Well, we'll go over a few of its traits. You get tool proficiency, you get some spells. Spells kind of vary in effectiveness, but I think I like most of them.
Yeah, their extended spell list is fine.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I like all of these spells that are in their extended spell list.
And like experimental elixir is an interesting idea. The effects are fairly small. The biggest issue I found with these elixirs, and this goes with a lot of things you give out to other players, which is that you have to constantly remind people they have it and interrupt like the flow of the group. And you have to do it every single day, so like it changes every day. So it's kind of a big pain.
It's a hassle. Like,
yeah.
Bardic Inspiration is like that too, where it's so cool, but like when people give it to me, I never remember.
Yeah.
Clerics are like that too when they give D4 Bless. I never remember. It's just not a thing that people remember to do. So then, like, you have to constantly remind people. And once you get up to certain levels, like, it doesn't really even matter anymore.
Yeah. And like, yeah, and the thing with this is, you know, it's the cleric's bless, it's the bard's inspiration, but it's also like there's 6 different potions it can be, which is cool, but it just adds that extra little complexity of like, okay, which one do I have? What does it do again?
Well, they all do different things. They all do cool things, but like 1 AC for 10 minutes.
Yeah,
sweet.
That one's
a speed of 10 feet for 10 minutes. That could be cool in a roleplay sense. Won't help you in a fight.
Yeah.
Alter self for 10 minutes. Like, all of these are pretty much roleplay things, except healing and resilience. But like, you gotta remember to do it.
Yeah. And like, you can use a spell slot to choose it, because like you roll a d6 and every morning to get one of the elixirs, but
yeah, but then you're wasting a spell slot, and spells are way better than any of these.
That's true. With Alchemical Savant at 5th level, you get to any kind of spell you use that deals acid, fire, necrotic, or poison damage, or heals. You can add your intelligence modifier to it. It's just like an extra little bit of damage or healing. Not revolutionary. Restorative Regents Whenever a creature drinks an experimental elixir you created, the creature gains temporary hit points. And again, this is another thing that's just added onto the potions that you have to remind them to use it. So, I think it's a cool mechanic on paper, but not as much in practice. And you get to learn lesser restoration, which is helpful. Chemical Mastery, you gain resistance to acid and poison, and you're immune to the poison condition. Nice, but you're at 15th level. And, yeah.
Like, that 9th level thing, when you get lesser restoration, it doesn't cost a spell slot. Lesser restoration is a 2nd level spell.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, casters get that at level 3.
Mm-hmm.
And Greater Restoration is 5th level spell.
Yeah,
you get this at 15th level. Like, that's...
To be fair, that's about when you'd get a 5th level spell slot as an Artificer.
Yeah, well, it's just about if you like half casters or full casters. I don't like half casters. Like,
Yeah.
If I'm gonna have spells, I want the spells to feel good, and half casters, that's just not a thing. Like, with half casters, you pretty much need spells that buff people, because any kind of damage isn't gonna do enough damage. And I like my spells to do damage.
Yeah. And you get heal, which is nice. I'm okay with it being a D being like the worst one, and I probably wouldn't play it again just because of the hassle of the potions, but I do like it.
It's a big hassle. It's easily the worst one in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't ever want to play this one. I think it's a cool idea, but a lot like how we had the Profane Soul, it's a cool idea, but it's just the implementation is pretty meh. Like, it's built around this idea of you make elixirs, but the elixirs aren't good.
Yeah, and it's got that hassle of that. So,
yeah.
Alchemist, we're going to keep at D. Not a terrible one. Just the worst one for sure. The next one is Armor. I would put this at an S. What would you put it as?
I had it an A.
Okay.
Because I there's one other one that I think is better.
Okay, I think we're probably going to have those switched. I think Artillerist is probably the one you like most.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I like the idea of it, but we're talking about armor first. So.
Yeah. So armor, you gain proficiency with heavy armor. Being an armor is all about having heavy armor. And essentially kind of being like Iron Man a little bit. Like, you have your suit, all the abilities are around like specializing it and changing it to how you want to play. This spells list, I think, is great. I don't think there's really a bad spell in here, to be honest. Pass Wall, maybe, is meh.
Pass Wall is useful. At 17th level, it's pretty meh, but, like, it is useful. Being able to walk through walls, it makes it so that dungeons aren't a problem.
Yeah. And, like, Lightning Bolt, Mirror Image, well, Shatter is... You can always already get that. I guess Mirror Image as well, but greater invisibility.
Yeah, but these are free
shield.
spells.
Yeah, that's true. So I think it's a great spell list. And then we get to the main part of it, which is Arcane Armor. You essentially make like a piece of your armor that you're wearing, which is probably eventually going to be plate, into like an enhanced version of it. So you don't need strength, first of all, which is great, to wear the plate. You can use your armor as a spellcasting focus, freeing your hands and not having to worry about that. And it can't be removed, which I guess is kind of a little bit of roleplay. You can retract or deploy the helmet as a bonus action, which just roleplaying, I guess. But I do like that it replaces any missing limbs. Basically gives you like a bionic arm or leg. Which is cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. The only reason it's A and not S for me is, personally, I feel like this is what the Forge domain should have been.
Oh yeah. Guess that.
And then, because in my head, Artificer has always been like tinkerers and like magical constructs, not like making armor.
Yeah.
You know, like I think that it would have been cool if, sort of like how the Battlesmith has the Steel Defender,
Hmm.
make an entire class just around that, but like it's a bigger thing. Like it's sort of like a Warforged that you made yourself, and they fight for you, and you're really
Hmm.
weak, but your Warforged is there. Like I think that that would be a really cool subclass.
Yeah.
And I
I
feel
like
like
that.
this is what Forge Domain should have been.
Yeah. And like getting to the actual armor part of it, there's quite a few details here. Probably not going to go into all of them, but the gist of it is basically during a short or long rest, you can change that armor. That's your arcane armor to essentially like specialize as a tank or like a stealthy person with lightning launchers. So like as a tank, you can like give disadvantage. You have temporary hit points. And as like the infiltrator armor, you have your lightning launcher, you can move faster, and you have advantage on dexterity checks, which is just a great amount of versatility and like surprisingly easy to switch in the middle of a game. Like if you guys are going in and you want to be stealthier.
Mhm. I like it. I do think that it should only be long rest, not short or long.
I think so too. Yeah.
Both because it's a bit much, and also I had a blacksmithing course in high school. You can't do this in an hour. Like,
Yeah,
there's no way. Also, it would be hella loud,
that's for sure.
and you're not resting when you're doing this.
No, you're definitely not. That's a
Yeah.
little bit of OP aspect of it, being able to switch.
Yeah, I just personally, I just wish it was only long rest. There's a lot of abilities in this game that I think should
Yeah.
have short rest added, or should have short rest taken out and make it long rest. There's a lot of those. It's a common thing in 5e
Hmm.
where they make. I think it's just depending on whoever made it at Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah. So you get an extra attack at 5th level, which is nice because you're probably either punching with your gauntlets or like with a weapon if you're a tanky one, or you're shooting your lightning launchers or a bow or something or spells. It's always good to have an extra attack. Your armor
Hmm.
at 9th level, you get armor modification, which essentially like splits up the armor into different parts so you can infuse it separately, which is super nice. And you can also infuse a your number of infusions at an artificer increases by 2, but they have to be part of your arcane armor. But it's a nice bit of power increase,
Well,
I'd say.
and it basically just means that you get to infuse 2 pieces of your armor
Yeah, and you
on
get
top
to
of what you already had.
choose, which is nice. And then at 15th level, you've perfected your armor as a guardian. You get to use a reaction to magically force it to make a strength saving throw. Essentially, if it fails, you can pull the creature 25 feet towards you, which is very
Get over
nice
here.
for battlefield control. Yeah, like if someone's messing up your sorcerer buddy, like it's a reaction too. The infiltrator allows you to shed dim light in a 5-foot radius. Wait.
Ooh,
Takes-
that
Oh,
sounds
no.
awful.
No, it says any creature that takes lightning damage from your launcher glimmers with magical light until the start of your next turn, and it has disadvantage on attack rolls against you.
Wow, you really just skipped ahead to the middle of the paragraph, huh?
Oh yeah, I did. I did not start at the
You
beginning.
just skipped ahead to Shed's dim light.
Oh yeah. The next attack roll against it has advantage, and if that attack hits, the target takes an extra 1d6 lightning damage. I'd say this is a little bit underwhelming, but
That's super underwhelming.
yeah,
That like has no scaling at all put into it. At
no,
15th level, you know how strong you can make a lightning bolt at 15th level? Like, obviously this isn't a lightning bolt, you could do it all the time. But, like, even a fighter at 15th level has 4 attacks.
yeah. I think that's a little bit disappointing. I like the Guardian one. I'd say it's a little bit underwhelming for a 15th as well, but not as much as the Infiltrator.
Yeah, it's also just cooler.
So I'm good with putting armor at an A.
Yeah, I just Artificers I've always thought of as a tinkerer, not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they're gnomes, generally speaking.
Yeah. So, Artillerist, you put out an S. Why is that?
Yeah. Because it is the epitome of tinkering. You tinker to make your eldritch cannons, and you make these little cool little robots that go around with you and shoot stuff or heal you, and I just think that's really cool. And that is how I've always just seen an artificer, as like someone that makes little gadgets, little steampunk robots that help you in fights. Their extended spell list is good. Honestly, it's one of the better ones if you want to do damage.
Yeah.
You have Fireball.
I don't see any of these that like I don't like.
Yeah. However, like they're all damage spells except for Shield and Wind Wall.
That's true. The Artillerist is like the damage dealer, though.
Yeah. I mean, and it makes sense. It's Artillerist.
Yeah.
Like, it should be.
Yeah.
Like, what does artillery do in a battle? It just fires down range.
Yeah. And like the cannons are honestly just all positive. You have some versatility.
All three of them are good.
Yeah, I'd say the flamethrower is a little bit less, but
well, it also just depends on what you're fighting and what you're doing. Because like the flamethrower seems like it isn't great, but like these don't expire.
No.
You don't have a limit on how much they could shoot. You could just like have it on your shoulder shooting flames to light up an area.
Mm-hmm.
The protector just giving you temporary hit points every round.
Yeah, every round, I think that's the key thing.
Oh.
You just put it behind your tank or just kind of in the middle of your group.
On your tank?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Just latch it onto his back.
Yeah, because there is no like these cannons can be tiny or small, which means as tiny, like you can hold the cannon in one of your hands if you want and shoot with it. It has feet.
It specifically says a tiny one can be held in one hand.
Yeah. And like it seems like there's a consensus of like that also means like they have feet, so they could probably just sit on your shoulder or like and move around with you, kind of eliminating the speed limitation.
Yeah, I've always in my head I've always pictured it as like a quadruped little robot.
Yeah.
When it goes on your shoulder, it's just like two in front, two in back, and just holds on.
Yeah. That's a cool idea. Because it's a little bit overpowered, I usually don't allow that in campaigns, but even with that, they're great.
Well, it depends on what you're doing with it. Like the protector one doing that, probably not the end of the world because you can have it nearby anyways. The Force Ballista doing that turns you into the Predator.
Yes.
You know, like there's a big difference between the two. And flamethrower, honestly, I don't think would be too overpowered because you have to be right next to them anyway to use it.
Yeah.
And tiny things can share your space.
And the Artillerist is more of a ranged one. Like it is an Artificer, so you're probably going to have a pretty high armor class. I think you can wear heavy armor. Or maybe I was wearing heavy armor because I was a dwarf that one time we played.
Yeah,
probably, yeah.
At base, Artificers get light armor, medium armor, and shields, and simple weapons.
Yeah.
But you also get like Firebolt, Ray of Frost, which aren't bad.
Yeah.
So you have a shield and that, and you're good. Or a shield and just like shoot your little dude.
Yeah, exactly. So with the arcane firearm, I think it's just a little bit of extra damage. Essentially, if you can turn a wand, staff, or rod into an arcane firearm, which you shoot your spells through.
You essentially turn your wand into a blunderbuss.
Yeah. And you can get an extra D8, just extra little bit of damage. Good.
Yeah, you're just turning your wand into a gun.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, the explosive cannon. The main thing about this with the explosive cannon is it scales the cannon's damage, which is great. I've never used the blowing it up because...
Why would you?
Why would you? It's only 3d8 on a failed save, so why don't you just have it shoot? Because it does...
Yeah, which is 2d8. plus whatever you're actually using it for.
Yeah, like the flamethrower is already 3d8 with that. The Force Ballista can do 3d8 as well. Like,
well, also, you're already casting a spell through it, which does an extra 2d8 at this point.
yeah, that's
So
true.
if you're using catapult at first level, then it's a 5d8 catapult.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you use this?
Yeah.
Like, sure, it has splash damage, so you might be able to take out like a group of skeletons.
Mm-hmm. It's
or
very...
you could like leave it somewhere as a trap.
Mm-hmm.
Because it doesn't say you have to be with it, you just have to be within 60 feet of it.
You could leave it as a trap, but you could also just have it be there as a flamethrower.
No, holy, this isn't your flamethrower Force Ballista protector. This is your wand.
No, it says you can command the cannon to detonate. The cannon blows up.
Oh, I was thinking the arcane firearm, not this.
No,
That's my bad.
It's your cannon.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah, it
that's
is.
Stupid.
Because it destroys your cannon too, and you have to remake it. I think an action to remake it. So.
Well, okay, there is one reason why you'd do it. If you have the protector out, it's near enemies and has like a hit point left.
Oh yeah, if they're gonna die, that does make sense. That's
the other two. It's still better to just shoot.
Yeah.
But the protector, or if it's just in a crowd, like, I mean, they're tiny. You could just throw it.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like a grenade.
It's super situational though.
Yeah.
But that's not the only thing you get at that level. Your damage increases by a d8. So.
Yeah, and that's some necessary scaling, and it's a decent amount of scaling for the cannon too.
Mm-hmm.
So with 45 position at 15th level, you and your allies now have half cover while within 10 feet, which is awesome.
That's ridiculous.
It is. Like, that's +2 to AC just being around it, and you have 2 of them now. So you can really cover your allies and like increase their AC.
Well, it's not only AC, it's also dex saves. So fireballs, lightning bolts.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's great. 2 of them is just crazy because you can make like a protector and a Force Ballista, or like 2 Force Ballistas. So, and you can make 2 of them with the same action as well. You can just remake them so easily. And the nice thing about that is, like, if you use your action to make them, like, you still have your bonus action to have them shoot, and it's gonna be like, you can still do stuff with them. Nice.
Still costs 2 spell slots to do so, but
yeah, you do have that free charge. I think it's only 1 free charge you get per day. But
yeah, it says you can now have 2 cans at the same time. You can't create 2 with the same action, but not the same spell slot.
I see. Yeah.
Like when you remake them, you can't just.
Yeah. But your your cannons don't really die that much unless like someone's really gonna single them out. Depends where you place them too.
It depends on where you place them. Depends on your DM. It depends on what you're fighting.
As everything does in D&D.
Yeah, companions usually either die super fast every time or not at all. That's just depending on your DM.
So I'm good with this being an S.
Yeah, I just think that it's like the ultimate artificer because you have these little robots that do things for you, and it's built around that. Like that's what I want from an artificer, a little tinkerer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I've played that to level 20, and you played it with me, so you can tell that they get pretty good, but not too overpowered. But the Battlesmith. So this one is like the melee dedicated artificer. Your spell list is kind of like all about being up in the front. It gives you auras. Like I kind of liken this to as like a paladin.
Spells.
Like it's like a paladin artificer with a mechanical buddy.
This is like the paladin of Forged Domain.
Yeah, that makes sense. You get proficiency with Smith's tools. Your spells, I think, they're pretty good. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with these spells. They're very paladin-like.
They're very buff, not damage.
Yeah.
Which in 5e, killing them faster than kill you is the name of the game.
Yeah.
Because most buffing spells in this game don't help you that much.
Yeah. You get proficiency with martial weapons, and probably one of the best things, and we also didn't mention this for the armor, but when you attack with it has to be a magic weapon? I guess you can just infuse it.
You can infuse a weapon.
Yeah, so you can use your intelligence modifier instead of strength or dexterity, which is very helpful. And like, one thing I like about that, plus like the Alchemist, not the Alchemist, the armor, is it has, like, it gives more value to intellect, too.
What are you talking about? The armor doesn't have that.
Armor has it.
I don't see it anywhere.
I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's definitely not on here.
I've been known for that.
Well, they're known wrong.
I have been known to be wrong, yeah.
Yeah, because they get their special weapons.
Each model...
The special weapons use intelligence, not any weapon.
That's true.
Like Thunder Gauntlets, Lightning Launcher, they are intelligence.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So, Battlesmith, I guess, is a little bit unique there then. I still like it for its how it, like, opens up a lot of, like, being that melee artificer and not having you to have to, like, dedicate multiple abilities. You can really go... It kind of plays in that fantasy of, like, you're super smart, you made, like, your weapon's smart, not smart, but, like, you can improve it or something like that. That's why your intelligence modifier is applied to it or something like that. And you get your Steel Defender.
I think the Steel Defender is underwhelming.
I think it's a pretty good companion.
Fine.
I mean, it's a companion. Like,
it doesn't scale well.
I think that's a lot of them for sure. A lot of companions.
Yeah, like the only companion that really scales well is the Drake Warden. And it's because it like unlocks new abilities later on. It's not just you get more hit points.
Mm-hmm.
Your damage is 1d8 plus your proficiency bonus. Woo!
Yeah.
Not that good.
Your Steel Defender can... I mean, it acts like any other companion. I'd say one of the nicest things about it is deflect attack, just opposing disadvantage on an attack roll. That's really annoying.
But it's an AC of 15. The hit points at level 5 if you have max intelligence, which is unrealistic to expect to have at level 5, is 32 hit points with an AC of 15.
Yeah.
Not that hard to kill.
So can you summon it? You summon it with an action, right? You can probably remake it with like a spell slot, and I'm guessing you get like a free charge.
At the end of a long rest, you can create a new Steel Defender if you have your Smith's tools with you. You already have a Steel Defender from this feature. The first one immediately perishes.
That's unfortunate then.
The Defender also perishes if you die.
Okay, you're kind of convincing me about the Defender being underwhelming.
Yeah. The Defender is just meh, you know, like...
Yeah. So you do get...
I still think the Battlesmith is a B.
Yeah, that's probably where I'd put it as well. Because you still get that extra attack. Your Arcane Jolt is nice. Just gives extra 2d6 force damage when you strike.
Yeah. And you can also heal things.
Yeah, absolutely. You can heal
at 15th level, your Steel Defender gets better, right? It goes,
Yeah.
the AC goes up by 2. At 15th level, 17 armor class, doesn't matter.
That's true.
Everything gets at like plus 10 to hit at that point. So,
Yeah, the Arcane Jolt is still nice, like for 46. But yeah, Steel Defender really brings it down. I kind of wish they like separated this. Like they're kind of doing two things. Like they have upgrades for you and being like a melee support artificer, and then there's the Steel Defender, and I feel like if they split it up, it would have worked better for
like
both.
how I was talking earlier about how I wanted a subclass that's just about having like a Steel Defender.
Yeah, like making
that's
a
the
war
whole point of the
force.
subclass is just that.
Yeah. So, Battlesmith B, you said?
That's what I said. Like it's not that good in my opinion, but I would much rather play than Alchemist.
Yeah, I think I'd have a fine time with Battlesmith.
Yeah. Wizards of the Coast has a real issue scaling the late game appropriately. Like, when your Steel Defender uses its deflect attack, the attacker also takes force damage equal to 1d4 plus your intelligence. So max of 9.
Is it a D4?
That's so
oh my god.
inconsequential at that point in the game.
Yeah.
Like, it just, they really seem like they don't care about the late game, which is fair, because nobody plays in the late game.
Yeah.
Like, the late game is so unbalanced and just so all over the place. But, like, nobody plays in the late game, so does it really matter that much? No. I weigh the levels 1 to 10 abilities of subclasses much higher.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, if your first ability is trash, then I'm not ranking you high.
Yeah, because like, especially with like multi-classing, like you usually don't go too far into multi-classing, and
it's usually 3.
And it just like you would never multi-class if the first one is terrible too, because you have to wait until like the next level, which in D&D is probably months of playing with a crappy third level attribute.
Yeah, like the most multi-classes, you'll take 3 levels just to get the subclass, and that's it. So if the third level ability isn't good for that subclass, people aren't going to take it unless they're all about that roleplay.
Yeah. So, Artificer, bit of a mixed bag. It's like a little bit more positive than negative, but got some really good subclasses. I feel like this is how it's going to be for a lot of classes. It's like there's going to be some S. And...
I mean, it's also based off how much we want to play it. And like, even if you want to play every single one, there's some that you want to play more than others, and there's always going to be someone on the bottom.
That's true.
Because that's just how it is.
Yeah, can't get everything right, but pretty solid set of subclasses. I would say there's a decent amount of variety in these subclasses. Like, there's only 4 for Artificer, but
it's also the newest.
Yeah, that's true. Well, like, it's been around since Eberron, right? When did that come out?
I don't know. Still the newest.
Yeah, that's true. I guess it's the only class that's actually been officially added, right?
Yeah.
So,
the others have always been around, and like most of the wizard classes are just the schools of magic. Most of the clerics are just the domains. You know, like
yeah, that's true. It's all just based around kind of D&D lore. This one they've probably had to be a little bit out of the box with it. I mean, you could think of a lot of subclasses with Artificer.
Eberron is a steampunk world, so that's why Artificer came around.
That makes sense, yeah. So, yeah, pretty solid set of subclasses. Any final thoughts about them?
Meh.
Okay. You say meh or nah?
Meh.
Okay. I know Artificers aren't really your thing.
No, they're not.
They are my thing. But, thanks for watching, everyone. Like and subscribe. We're going to be doing all of the classes for this, so I think there's over 100 subclasses here to rank.
Over 120.
Yeah, over 120. We've done clerk. We have our cleric. How Philip says it. Probably the rest of the world too. Yes, I'll do it. I'll do it for the video. This is not me, and I'm gonna start calling it that.
I'm so proud.
We've also done Blood Hunter, which I can pronounce correctly. So those
it's actually Blood Hunter.
Shut up. So those videos are already out on our channel. Stay tuned for more class videos. Have a good one. Are you gonna say bye?
Oh, bye. I didn't know I had to.
Well, you're part of this. You usually say bye.
I don't know. You closed it out.
I closed it and then you finish it with a bye.
Bye.